Hello everybody. This video is going to be about bonds. I am going to have two separate videos on bonds because they can be very difficult. They're difficult if a student wants to go from step 1 to step 5. So we are going to begin with the basic bond terminology. You have to understand this before we even start practicing different bond problems. So let me go to the board and let me discuss these different terminologies. Before I begin, we are going to be the issuing company, which means the bonds for us will be a liability. It will be a long-term liability. The investor who's investing in that bond will have that as an asset, but we are looking at the bond. We are the issuing company. Why would we issue a bond? We want money. So companies can get money in different ways. They can borrow money from a bank. They can issue bonds that we're about to go through, or they can issue common stock, which will be a separate video. Okay, so let's go over the basic bond terminology. You're going to see this in practice problems. It will tell you the face or the par value. That's the original amount that they wanted for the bond. So you'll get comfortable as you work on the problems. You'll see the company originally wanted $100,000 for the bond, but it will say something like the bond was issued at 102. That means that the bond sold for more than what they originally wanted, and I'll explain why that would happen in a few minutes. So the face or the par value is the original amount that the company wanted for the bond. The stated nominal or contract rate. Why am I telling you all these names? Here's why. In my class, you will work with one textbook, but maybe when you go to a different accounting class, you have a different textbook. So our textbook is going to call it the stated interest rate. Another textbook might call it the contract rate. The stated rate is the rate that the company, interest rate, that the company originally set for this bond. So this company is issuing a bond and they're going to pay interest at a certain interest rate. That is the stated interest rate. The company comes up with that. The next interest rate that I'm going to talk about is called the yield or the effective rate or just the market rate. That is the rate where the company issues the bonds and they go out to the market and it's sold on an exchange, and the interest rate has fluctuated. It's either fluctuated up or down. So the market rate is determined by the market. Okay, I'm going to erase the board now, and now we're going to go over the basics of when a bond is sold at face value, when a bond is sold at a premium, or when a bond is sold at a discount. So let me erase. Okay, and let me put these separate columns. Okay, so we have the stated rate. We have the market rate, and that's going to equal a question mark. We have to determine that, okay? All right, so if the stated rate is 10%, and then they went out to market, and the market rate for the same instrument is only paying 8%. Well, guess what? All the investors want your bond. So what happens? They beef up that purchase price. So when the purchase price, like I originally said, was $100,000, that bond went out to market, sold for $102,000. This is an example of a premium. A premium is when the bond sells for more than what they originally wanted. Okay? All right, let me give you another scenario. Now, same scenario, 10%. But now the market is paying 12%. Well, guess what? Do you want this company's bond? No, they're only going to pay you 10%. I can get in the market 12. So in order for the company to sell this bond, they issue it for less than 100,000. So this bond could sell for 98,000. So this is an example of a discount. You had to discount your bond in order to sell it. This really happens. However, I'm going to show it to you. This example, 10%, and the market is also 10%. It's just because the market is so volatile that it doesn't happen very often. By the time it goes through the different departments to bring the bond out to market, it's timing, so it's normally changed. But if it's exactly the same, this bond will sell at face value or par value. Okay? So that's how you can determine before you even do a transaction whether the bond sold for a premium or a discount. This next area that I'm going to show you is the basic journal entry for a bond issued at a premium or a discount. And I'll just talk to you about face value. Okay, so I have my debit, I have my credit. Okay, please look at the PowerPoint that I provided. I provided you an example in that, and I'm actually looking at it as well. Okay, so here's what it says. Company J sells bonds with a face value of 400,000. So that's the face value, 400,000, on the authorization date at 102. So when you read that 102, that is 102%. If you've been with me a few times, you know I like decimals. So I'm going to convert that to 1.02. In your calculator, if you want to do 102%, make sure you hit that percent key. So now all's to figure out how much it's sold for. You take the 400,000 and you multiply it by 1.02. That is going to be the cash that that company received for issuing that bond. Remember, the bond is a liability. All right, so let's go through that. So you debit cash for 408,000. Okay, the bond payable is always the face value. Whether it's a premium or a discount, it will always be the face value. So bond payable, original amount, is 400,000. Okay, you can eye this. This problem didn't even give you interest rates, but you can eye it by the price sold. Well, they wanted 400,000. The bond was issued for 408,000. This is a premium. So what do you call it? Premium on bond. And just the difference, just the plug between the two, just the difference. Okay, let me just explain this. This is a new account. Premium on bond is just a regular liability. The normal balance is a credit. So let me erase. Now I changed it. Very next slide. All right, I'm going to kind of keep some of these accounts up to make my life easier. Okay, because again, whether it's a premium or a discount, the bond payable is always the face value. It's a nice even number. Here's the next example. The bond was issued at 97. Okay, so again, take the 400,000, multiply it by 0.97. What does that give you? That gives you $388,000. Well, guess what? You wanted 400. It only sold for 388. That's a discount. You had to discount that bond in order to sell it. What do you call it? Discount on bond. Now the lab will probably call it discount on bond payable. Same meaning. Okay? The difference between the two is $12,000. Okay, discount on bond is also a new account. So let me tell you, that's a contra liability. So what's the normal balance? It's a debit. It's the opposite of a regular liability. And that's it for this week on bonds. Next week, I'm going to get into bonds in greater detail, but I've learned to just break it down in separate pieces. Okay, have a great day.